Hi, it's Bruce. It's Sunday, August 26th, 2012. Welcome back. It's been a long time since I've vlogged. I sort of took the summer off and had a lot going on. So I didn't even finish up last season. So I'm going to quickly just tell you what I saw the end of last season that I never got to comment on. A play called Tribes, which was down at the Barrow Street Theater by Nina Rain and directed by David Cromer. A great director, and it was very good. It's not around anymore. There's not much else I can say about it. The Lyons, which Linda Lavin received a Tony nomination for in the last set of Tony awards. And this is a play by Nikki Silver. I thought it was also very good. I thought she was phenomenal and well-deserved of her nomination. Really black, dark family satire, which I always appreciate. But it's closed, and I did enjoy it. Harvey from the Roundabout at Studio 54. The reason I bought tickets for Harvey was simply Jim Parsons from The Big Bang Theory. I think Jim Parsons is great. I saw him in The Normal Heart a couple seasons ago, and I wasn't interested in seeing a revival of Harvey by Mary Chase. It won a Pulitzer way back. It beat Glass Menagerie, I think, or something like that. And I'm sure that at the time it was very cutting edge, dealing with someone who sees a 6-foot-tall puka, rabbit, and tips the bottle a little. But the charm of the whole thing was Jim Parsons, one of the most charming actors, and he carried off Elwood P. Dowd. Lovely, a lovely performance, and the audience just was eating out of his hand. And that's no longer here, but if you ever get to see Jim Parsons on stage, jump at it. Luckily, I've done it twice. All right, now a couple summer things I did was Bill and I went to Tanglewood. We got great seats for the Boston Symphony. We saw their concert last week, and that was fun. And we went up to Tanglewood. We went up to the Berkshires to see the Barrington Stage Company production of The Black Suits, a new musical. Well, he's been working on it for a few years, but it is a new musical. Music and lyrics by Joe Iconis, and book by Joe Iconis and Robert Emmett Maddock. The Black Suits is about a teenage garage band. Joe Iconis, if you've listened to my blogs for years, you know he's one of my favorite young composer-lyricists. And I've been waiting to hear and see the Black Suits for a long time. I had heard some demo songs from it, the most famous of which, if you ever go on YouTube, there's many versions of a song called Blue Hair, sung by a young woman. Sung by young women. And but I was really moved and inspired by by the whole show. It's for friends who are in the black suits and going for their first gig, leaving the garage and into the town to do their Battle of the Bands. The characters are well fleshed out, they have great relationships, and the music is just great. But as I said, I really enjoyed the story, and there's interest in, continuing on with the production. The Barrington Stage Company is where Spelling Bee started, and it's the artistic director is William Finn. And let's hope the Black Suits has a life in New York City. I wish it well, and I can't wait to see it again. Saw two things at the Lincoln Center Festival of the summer. Was Alan Cumming in sort of a one-man version of Macbeth, set in a mental institution where he does all the roles in about under 2 hours. It was very interesting. Alan Cumming was great. And we saw Uncle Vanya with Cate Blanchette and Hugo Weaving, and Australian cast. The Sydney Theatre Company did Uncle Vanya at City Centre, and it was a good production of Uncle Vanya. My favorite Uncle Vanya of all time will always be the one with Julie Christie and George C. Scott and Nicol Williamson, directed by Mike Nichols, done in the late 70s or I don't know. I'd have to look that up. I was going to pull the program, but hey, I'm lucky I got the camera out. Okay, most of the summer's been devoted to my husband, spouse, boyfriend, wrote a musical called The Last Smoker in America, and this is the last week it's running. It closes next Saturday. So if you want to see what he's been working on, it's been running at the West Side Theater on 43rd and 9th. And I'm biased, of course, but I followed Last Smoker from when it was a short one act with 2 other one acts through now, and I've got a great cast: John Bolton, Farrah Alvin, Natalie Belkin, and a young man named Jake Boyd, who's great as a dysfunctional family and their neighbor, set in the future when smoking becomes punishable by 20 years in prison. It's a wild farce. A lot of the audience loves it. But it is closing next week. Hopefully there'll be a recording and it'll be published, and you'll be able to see Last Smoker as another show in the canon of Bill Russell, who wrote Sideshow and Pageant. I mean, he's my husband. He does write different things for shows. He writes books and lyrics, and The Last Smoker, I think, is extremely funny. All right, a new show that is running, and it's part of the Roundabout Theatre Company at the Laura Pels Theatre. It was an early preview, and the reason we went is Jake Gyllenhaal is in it. It was on TDF. We got seats. The name of the play is If There Is, I Haven't Found It Yet. And I don't like the title, and I have to have the program in front of me, because even at dinner I couldn't remember the name of the show. Maybe it's a little problematic. Okay, Jake Gyllenhaal plays this young woman's uncle. She's overweight and sort of persecuted in school. It's a British play. Her father is writing a book on the carbon footprint that everything in the world leaves, and why we should be more economical and not waste things, and environmental. He's an environmental activist who doesn't even want to get on an airplane because it would ruin the world. So she has a troubled family. Her mother works at the school that she's been transferred to, so they make fun of her for that. And she has a really bad time, and her uncle is a little much of a wastrel, and, smokes the occasional joint, and is played engagingly by Jake Gyllenhaal, who has great stage presence, and I really enjoyed watching him. So I got my money's worth just seeing him. It's played by Nick Payne, and Brendan O'Byrne is also in it. He of Doubt, the original cast of Doubt. Annie Funk, and the young woman is Michelle Gomez. I thought the play sort of worked. We were way on the side of the TDF seats and couldn't even hear nor see the first scene, which was staged upstage way, I guess it's upstage right, because, Anyways, but we were way over, and there's glass on the sides of the stage, and I think it ruined the hearing, because I could barely hear that first scene, because the glass partially blocks that off, and it didn't seem like if the actors were mic'd, it didn't seem like that was working. So, it's in previews, so, whatever, but it was okay. But Jake Gyllenhaal, I thought, was, proved himself very nicely. So the only things that are running right now is the last week of Last Smoker, and if there is, I haven't found it yet. And we have tickets to Chaplin for next week, so I'm going to get back into the reviewing mode, or Chaplin in 2 weeks. So have a happy upcoming Labor Day, and putting my foot back in the water and getting back to my vlogs. Thanks a lot.